Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Hollow Zoo titled FILTH BOX. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on YouTube, the FILTH BOX official music video, and we're going to listen through it from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's do it, let's go. What do we got? Oh, it's heavy as hell, I like it. Fantastic show of range so far. Great contrast between the highs and lows.
Turn to pleasures. Now at my feet, say your prayers. Show devotion. Comfort mass. So divine. When I'm done. Close your eyes. Taste my senses. Becoming baptized. Your mind is torn. Flaws are deep. You lust for more. Evil carry. Your sleep alone. Your body warm.
Satisfying loop. And I've got t-shirts as well, nice. Debut album, TV Static and Hate. Coming soon. Sick, well there we go, they've got an album coming out soon. I'm just going to confirm a couple of things, just maybe have a quick listen through again just to kind of confirm a few things, and we're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. And so welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Hollow Zoo titled FILTH BOX. Now, what do we think this track is about? They dress like a fallen angel in one part and then like a demon in another part, and it's kind of showing devotion to maybe like a filth box or like some sort of comment on religion. They talk about getting baptized and everything like that and being on their knees and praying and being delivered. I'm kind of wondering whether it's a commentary on people's faith and what they are, so what they pray to, whether it's the filth box is like a, it's tricky. It's tricky. I'm not quite sure. I got parts of it. There were some parts where there were kind of like these kind of screamed vocals, and I didn't get the words through clearly. And don't get me wrong, I like this kind of music. I dig it. I just don't always get the words through clearly. But I'd probably need another listen through one a couple of times just to sort of really get the context for it. But interesting story nonetheless. It was nice to have the fallen angel on one side and demon on the other, maybe for further context. And once it all comes together, I'm sure it'll be all good. But in terms of like the tour, because I usually talk about a few things I like about a track as well as any applicable constructive critique. One of the things I appreciate about this is the variety of different vocal styles. So we're very comfortable in our sort of vocal range at the start, you know, like in a head voice, and we articulate ourselves well and choose some really interesting melodies that suit the mood of the track, which we'll talk about the instrumental parts in a second. But I appreciate that we kind of explore the upper range as a development of that, and then we scream, and we have some even heavier parts where it's very visceral with the vocal fry, and we kind of have the higher and the low range. And I'm wondering if that's maybe the demon talking back to them in the low range in there, and the higher range kind of screaming back at them. It's a very surreal experience, but it's on par for the genre. I think that we have solid technique regardless of what we're doing here, and I think that it's well intentioned and well performed. And it's nice to have that sort of satisfying feedback loop structurally, I suppose, the second thing of the track itself. Granted, the thing I most appreciate, it's almost like the way that the different chapters and layers are articulated by the various instruments, and the way the track is basically split in two. There's a lot of interesting sound design decisions here, like with the pick scraping and the filtering of things, which is just as much a performance thing as like a post-production thing, which will be our third thing. But basically, I like the fact that we kind of play around with expectations and we don't get the listener everything straight away. You know, like we have a full sounding mix when we have like the full drum kit come in with the guitar and basses, etc. And I like that we're leading into it and having dynamic range with the filtered guitar at the start. That's cool. And I think there's like a really crispy guitar tone to it that works well between the palm muted alternate chugged parts there, or the octave or upper range parts there, or any of the sort of lead, sort of sub-lead transients that we have. But there's like a real kind of fuzzy tone in the scream, like the kind of the really heavy sections with the screaming and growling and stuff like that, that is really cool. And the bass is bombastic and full of tone and richness, and it works well with the roots of the chord progressions with the guitar parts. And I think there's a great sort of rhythmic usedness in between the drum parts and those elements as well. And each of these segments are separated neatly and they flow between each other really well. And there's lots of interesting grooves on the drum kit with like the different sort of like ride patterns and sort of hi-hats. And we explore the drum kit as well, which is really cool. I like when we make the most of our instruments. But there's like in the middle section, this is why kind of it's more sort of a mixture of the structure with the instrumental performance. So we have this kind of like pick scratch, just from a sound design perspective, really cool there. It's a lot of tension there, almost like the pendulum is maybe swinging the other way. And like having that guitar solo near the end of the track was fantastic to kind of work between different triads and sort of like tritones potentially, and arpeggios within the chord progressions of the track. But it's also got being able to go sort of half time in some parts or double time in other parts to really sort of flesh out the overall groove of the track and add variety there is really positive. So I think it's the vocals, the way the instruments are sort of layered and positioned over the structure of the track, and it's also the studio production, the way that it's sort of like recorded, mixed and mastered, because it's commercial grade. I'm really satisfied with the way things came out. You can hear the vocals clearly regardless of what they're doing there. The vocal fry and harder bits are forceful and intense, and the way they're stacked from both, again, a compositional production perspective is tight. The guitar parts are double tracked on the sides and are nice and thick and full. Even the filtered parts sound kind of nuanced and sort of unique and separate in a way that's positive. And the bass, drums, guitar, and everything else are layered in a way where there's no weird resonances, and the frequency spectrum and things are nicely positioned around the stereo field. The frequency spectrum stereo field are handled. There is dynamic range, and it's nice to allow without pumping to the bus compression, and limiting is handled. So ultimately, yeah, no, the studio production is commercial grade. There's the other two things I've spoken about here: the vocal quality in general of the performance, as well as, again, the structuring and instrumental performance across the track and the variety within it. In terms of applicable constructive critique, I don't have any. I think this was across the board just a really solid effort. There was a lot of different sort of like twists and turns, and even when we kind of did come to the realization that we're kind of having a second half and kind of having a development there was absolutely no filler, and it was well received. So, really great track. Thank you for watching my review of the song from an act named Hollow Zoo titled Filth Box, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next ASB Reacts. Spiderhands out.